Hello everybody! Today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to make a Pokemon Master Ball. Today we are going to be doing a tutorial for this, and before we begin I do want to address some housekeeping concerns. The first is that if you find this video too fast or too slow, please feel free to use YouTube's built-in video settings to speed up or slow down the video to your needs. The second question I get asked a lot on these videos is if I have a written pattern, and I do. I tried my best to put it into the description box below. I do ask if you follow the written pattern to support this channel by liking or subscribing or letting this video play in the background, as that helps me to continue to produce these types of tutorials. The next thing I get asked a lot is if these are patterns that are good for completely new crocheters, and the answer is no. You do need to have a basic understanding of crochet stitches, and I will put the list on the screen right now of what terms and stitches you will need to know before beginning this crochet pattern. The last thing that I wanted to say is that while I typically would make a Master Ball in this darker purple to make it more authentic to the show and games, I am going to be using this light purple today because it will make it easier for you guys to be able to see the stitches. Now we are going to be getting into what you will need to create this Master Ball. The first thing you will obviously need is yarn. So we are going to be using 4 colors today. I'm going to be referencing this color as magenta from here on out. And then there's going to be purple, black, and then you need white, obviously. The next thing I'm going to be using in this video is a darning needle. So it's like this just larger sewing needle that's big enough to fit your yarn. I'm going to be using a size 4 in this video, but this pattern does work for any yarn size. Just make sure that you adjust your hook size accordingly, and obviously just recognize that your pattern is going to end up larger or smaller depending on what yarn you use. Speaking of hook size, I am going to be using a 3.75mm hook. You can use whatever your preference is, as long as it is slightly smaller than what the yarn size actually recommends. The last 2 things that you are going to need today is a pair of scissors, and if you prefer to use one, a stitch marker. But without further ado, let's get into making these balls so that you can catch them all. Alright guys, so this project is work from the top down. We are going to be beginning in purple with a magic ring, placing 6 single crochet into that magic ring. Round 2 is going to be 6 increases. At the end of this round, you will have 12 stitches. Round 3 is going to be a single crochet in the first space and an increase in the second. You're going to repeat this pattern for 6 times until you have 18 stitches at the end of your round. Round 4 is going to be a single crochet in each of the first 2 spaces and an increase in the third. Repeat this pattern 6 times all the way around until you have 24 stitches at the end of your round. Round 5 is going to be a single crochet in each of the first 3 spaces and an increase in the fourth. Repeat this pattern all the way around for 6 times until you have 30 stitches. Round 6 is going to be a single crochet in each of the first 4 spaces and an increase in the fifth. You're going to repeat this pattern all the way around until you have 36 stitches. Rounds 7 through 10, so 4 rounds total, you're just going to be single crocheting all the way around for 36 stitches. I will meet you back here whenever you are finished with these rounds. In the last stitch of round 10, we are going to be using that last yarn over pull through to color change to black. For rows 11 and 12, we are going to be continuing to single crochet all the way around for 36 stitches. In the last stitch of round 12, we are going to use that last yarn over pull through to color change to white. For rounds 13 through 16, we are going to be doing 36 single crochet around for 4 rounds. If you haven't already, you can go ahead and cut off all of the ends that you were working with and tie knots in them or weave them in. Round 17 is going to be a single crochet in each of the first 4 spaces and an invisible decrease across the 5th and 6th stitch. Repeat this pattern all the way around and you will have 30 stitches at the end of this round. For round 18, we are going to do a single crochet in each of the first 3 spaces and an invisible decrease across the 4th and 5th space. This will leave you with 24 stitches at the end of this round. For round 19, we are going to do a single crochet in the first 2 spaces and an invisible decrease across the 3rd and 4th space. This will leave you with 18 stitches at the end of this round. For round 20, we are going to do a single crochet in the first space and an invisible decrease across the 2nd and 3rd spaces. This will leave you with 12 stitches at the end of this round. At this stage, you can go ahead and pop your stitch marker into your loop so that way it doesn't fall down, and then start adding your stuffing. For our final round, we are going to be doing invisible decreases all the way around so that you will have 6 stitches left at the end of this round. Go ahead and finish off with a slip stitch at the end of this round to the first stitch in the round, and then use your scissors to cut off a short tail. Use your short tail to weave through the final stitches and cinch them closed and weave in your end. Now we are going to be moving on to creating the magenta circle accents. We are going to begin with a magic ring and place 6 single crochet into that magic ring. For round 2, we are going to be doing an increase all the way around so that you will have 12 stitches at the end of this round. For round 3, we are going to be doing a single crochet in the first space and an increase in the second. Repeat this pattern all the way around for 6 times and you will have 18 stitches at the end of this round. Finish off by slip stitching to the first stitch of the previous round. Leave a long tail for sewing and go ahead and cut your yarn. You will need to repeat this process and make a second magenta circle. Moving on to the button, we are going to be starting in white and making a magic ring with 6 single crochet into that magic ring. For round 2, we are going to be doing increases all the way around so that we will have 12 stitches at the end of this round. Color change to black in the last stitch of round 2. Round 3 is going to be slip stitches in black all the way around, and you will have 12 stitches at the end of this round. Slip stitch back into the beginning of the round and cut off a long tail for sewing the button. Go ahead and pop some knots into those tails on the buttons to keep them from coming undone. Coming in from about 4 stitches away from the color change section on the ball, you're going to insert your crochet hook exiting at the center of the color changes. Pull those tails from the button outside of the long tail for sewing through the ball so that it kind of acts as an anchor to keep it in place while you're sewing. When you are sewing the button on, you're going to be going through only the loops of the black slip stitches. So you're going to go underneath those loops, but not through the white portion, because this will help to slide those slip stitches to the outside and push the white part forward, creating a three-dimensional look. When you are satisfied with your button's placement, go ahead and exit your tail at the same point as the other ones. You can tie knots in those tails to secure them again, and go ahead and use your scissors to push them into the ball. Our next step is going to be lining up the magenta circles evenly from the button. You want 2 rows at the top and 2 rows at the bottom visible in purple. You also want to make sure that they are in line, centered with the same distance to the button on each side. Use the same technique to pull the magic ring tail through the Pokeball so that it acts as an anchor to hold the accent on. Now you can begin sewing your project. When you are happy with your placement, you can do the same process as the button and exit your tails at the same point so that you can tie them together and push them back into the circle. You will now need to repeat this process for the other side. I will meet you back here whenever you're done. The last step is to use a scrap piece of white yarn to embroider the letter M. Now, I'm not a professional embroiderer, but my tip is to pick a point that is off to one of the sides of where you want your letter M to be. Start at one bottom of the M. The next tip that I have is imagine where you want the center of the V to be. It needs to be centered above the button. I also recommend that the bottom of that V section of the letter M is 2 rows from the button itself. You can see here that my letter M turned out pretty well, except for that middle section where the V is. I didn't like how there was a big gap, so I just used the tail end of the yarn to go in and kind of wrap around that V section to keep it closer together. Once you're happy with your embellishment, go ahead and tie knots in those ends and hide them. Alright guys, that is going to be it from me today, guys. I hope that you love your finished project. I do have 2 other tutorials on my YouTube channel. One is for a crochet love ball, and one is for a regular Pokeball or Premier Ball. So if you like this video, please feel free to check those out, as well as liking and subscribing so that you can come back for future content. If you have any questions or comments or concerns, please let me know in the description box below. I try to answer as quickly as possible. You guys can also feel free to give me future tutorial video ideas for things that you might like. But with that, if you stayed here till now, thank you for watching and supporting the channel, and I'll see you next time.